Now this is maybe one of the videos I've been most looking forward to in this little micro playlist that we're making, the off-season shopping. Now, midfielders is probably the position I enjoy scouting and buying and acquiring the most. Okay, now with the Americas division, we've not just got MLS, but we've got some Mexican clubs in action, we've got some Argentinian clubs in action, and we've got the transfers that a lot of these players will be going through in their careers, you know, moving, you know, to Brazil, Argentina, Mexico, America, Canada, you know, maybe not Canada, these types of places, you know. And midfielders, all across the world, you're going to find great players that play 6, 8 and 10, you know, the positions on the pitch. So, and a lot of these guys, because they're not big household European names, again, like everyone else in the playlist, you can find them so far undervalued, it's untrue. And when they come in off-season, from off-season to on-season, you can get some amazing results with them. I hope you like the video, guys. The cost of entry, as always, in this playlist, hit the like button before you watch any more of it. If you haven't already subscribed to the channel, please, it means a lot to me. And if you haven't joined the platform yet, we've got all the links down below for all the free stuff to get you as much of a head start as possible on your SO5 journey. Yeah, let's get stuck into it, guys. Midfielders. Now, I don't know if I've ever said this to you before, but I love midfielders. The midfielders are always the position that gets me the most excited, you know. So when we're looking at off-season shopping, I've got 21 American midfielders. I'm just going to scroll through. They're listed by highest average score, okay. Midfielders come in all shapes and sizes, which is part of the thing I love about shopping for them and utilising them in my SO5 selections. But when it comes to the MLS, because there's so many clubs, first and foremost, so many different styles, each one of these clubs need all the type of midfielders that you could possibly list off, whether it be controlling defensive midfielders, box-to-box number 8s, creative number 10s. The league is scattered with these types of players all across them. There's lots of bargains to be had. There's lots of guys that maybe didn't feature too much last season. You'd expect to getting ZLM is probably the one I would recommend the least to anyone, because the guy's just always fucking injured, and I think NYC have actually released him, so we'll just forget him. But they come in all shapes and sizes. They've all got different abilities to score well, lots of different standings in the game. Being in Europe and went to America, being in America could go to Europe, etc. Now, the first midfielder is Jan Gregus. Okay, now this guy came to my attention as well as any other Scots when he scored against us for I want to say Slovakia, and upon that goal, you know, me, Ross, probably Grant and Willie and the rest of it, you know, McBride jumped on and had a look at this guy, and fuck me. Fuck me, look at his scores. Minnesota were solid last year, right? They weren't that great, they weren't that exciting, but they were rock solid, and they made, you know, I say they weren't that great, they made the playoffs and they done pretty well. I think they maybe got to the quarterfinals or something, but they weren't blowing teams away, they weren't making a big headlines, they were quietly putting teams away, picking up points. And this guy has not got a red score in sight. It's been mental for him, you know. He's had a great time in America. Minnesota look to be stronger next year, you know, just having success. They can build upon it. They've got a nice little foundation there. When they first came into MLS, their first season in MLS was probably one of the last seasons I paid attention to it before falling into Football Index a bit heavy. They were awful. They were awful. But wow, what an impact this guy's made. The prices you can get him for, I would term as borderline free. Because, you know, what you're talking about here, you know, like 20 quid or something for a guy that is going to play week in, week out, doesn't get below 42. What else do you need me to tell you? Now, RSL, or Real Salt Lake, depending on how familiar you are with the league, came in for a bit of scrutiny last year from some comments from the owner or whatever. They were in some really poor form at the time, and after that, they did have a good bit of a resurgence. They had some good performances and did pretty well. As you can see, Pablo Ruiz is pretty new to the league. His averages are really solid. You can get this guy really cheap. I see some SRs of him come up around the sort of auction prices you can see here. So again, a potential cheap SR option. Creative Argentinian midfielder. RSL have always been a kind of like tiki-taka type team. You know, they've been a very passing move, very progressive team, you know. So you know when RSL sign players or they appoint a coach, they're in that kind of mould where it's towards a club ethos. And this guy scores, again, quite similar to Gregus. If he is starting, you're going to get oranges out of him minimum. He's not one of these midfielders that can a game can pass him by. He's involved in the ball. He's involved in goal contributions. And again, rock solid, dirt cheap. Now, I had hoped to keep this guy quiet in a wee secret. Because I want a super rare of him. I'm just going to tell you this now on camera. I want a super rare of him. As you can see, the super rares don't go cheap, unfortunately. I've watched Nashville, I think. I've seen a bunch of highlights, right? But I watched them an actual match, I think, twice last year. and he got a green score both times I watched him. This guy is amazing on the counter attack. He's really quick, he's rapid, he's got an assist in him, he's got a goal in him. And the way that Nashville finished the season last year in their inaugural season, you would expect that they are going to go on and do just as well, if not better, next year. And this guy's going to be a big part of their attack. And as you can see, when they are winning games, this last streak of results here, they did really well. They secured a playoff spot after a long period of being dogged, sitting down, 4-5 at the back, banking up. But the last couple of games, you know, especially, they were going for playoff spots. They were attacking teams a bit more. They've been a bit more ferocious in the counter-attack. And this guy is going to have a big, big 2021 season, no doubt about it. The price you can get a rare for is criminal. Yeah, I know he's 33, right? But there's no super rares, there's no uniques of them, which is quite interesting. And the rares are dog cheap, okay? Now, this guy, like, still plays for Sweden. You know, last time he joined up with the national team, he was captain. And as you can see, when he's in the Seattle team and he's getting a run of matches, along with Lodero and Rui Diaz and Jordan Morris, Seattle are a top-end team. And this guy, when he's starting and playing, you can rely on him every game week, no doubt about it. These DNPs, I think he had a little bit of an injury problem, so you might want to wait on him coming back from injury. I would understand that completely. But again, even the price you could pick him up for now, you could easily get him for a $5 and sit on him. And if he doesn't come back from injury, then you've lost a $5. I'm sorry, right? But even if you already make use of him in a global all-star on occasion or whatever, I can easily see this guy repaying his value, no problem at all, even at the age of 33, because Seattle are such a strong team. Now again, this guy is somebody like Leal. I was hoping to kind of keep to myself until I can get a super rare of him. I think he's going to have an amazing... I think Atlanta are going to... They can't really do worse than last year, right? So I think Atlanta, number one, have a better 2021 than a 2020. Joseph Martinez is going to score a lot of goals, being fit. Gabriel Heinze should be a much better appointment than Frank de Boer, and you know, Stephen Glass did okay when he was in interim charge, but an interim manager is not the same as a full time, of course. And this guy is going to be a focal point. He's a designated player for the team. He's very well thought of. He's won the Copa Sudamerica already at the age of 21. Copa Sudamerica, if you're not familiar, is the South American equivalent of the Europa League, basically, you know. So, guy's very well thought of. The price of a rare for somebody who's 21 and still has tenuous links to Europe and even back to Argentina, which for a SoRare perspective isn't a bad transfer, to be honest with you. He's very, very well priced, and at the age he's at, he's only got scope to improve. Now, I don't know why, but my SoRare data isn't bringing this guy up, which means he might be even more under the radar, okay? Now, you can see his last 5 scores there are credible, certainly. He's a very solid midfielder. When Santos Laguna came on, there was only 1 or 2 players that really jumped out to me. The guys get previous in a short spell in Hungary after this period at River Plate. So the guy has a bit of pedigree, a bit of ability, and his scores in Mexico have been, as far as I can see, very, very solid, very credible. And for a solid defender, a solid midfielder, they can get scores of 100 to be picking up for about 50 quid or so. Even the super rare, no, maybe not. Even the super rare on auction, it'd be interesting to see what that goes for. But again, these are the sort of guys, when you come into Champion America region, these Mexican and Argentinian cards that do float about can be the difference between, as I always say, like 16th and 9th or something like that, you know, because you won't have as many of them deployed. Less people will be watching those fixtures, less people will be deploying those cards. And it is a really nice looking card, to be honest with you. So, Fernando... Oh, it's God. Oh, 2 seconds. I don't know why, but it kept coming up in mine as Garrigan, and I don't know why I had it spelled like that, but it's Gorrigan. I beg your pardon, Fernando. But as you can see, there are all the scores. So, his 23 here was for 90 minutes. That's disappointing. And the 34 was for 90 minutes as well. That's also disappointing. So, he does have red lows, even with starting and playing 90, which isn't nice, I suppose. But when you've got the 80s and the 70s and the 100s in your locker, it's a good trade-off, I would say, and especially for the price you can pick the guy up for 25 years of age. He's got a transfer in him, I would imagine, at some point also. And yeah, good bang for buck. As you can see on the primary market and auction, you can get this guy for buttons. Now, I'm throwing this guy in as the last one of the video, and he's a little bit of a wild card, okay? Primary auction, pennies, right? It's more the super rare, right? You can get somebody selling a super rare now, and there's been a few attempts to sell the super rare very cheap, okay? Now, Heinz is coming into the team. This guy is going to... I would imagine he's one of the big earners in Atlanta, because he came from... Who did he sign him from? Was it Fulham or Bournemouth? But he was at a Premier League club for a long time. Scottish football fans will remember him from a short stint at Rangers. But as you can see, even though Atlanta had a shocking year last year, when the guy played, He's a contributive midfielder, you know, he will get involved in spraying the ball around, crosses, set pieces, this kind of thing. So I think under Heinze they'll get better, and again, like I said with Barco and Guzan and a few other Atlanta boys in these videos, I think there'll be good scope to really surprise a lot of people with the scores and the output that they can produce. I don't know if this guy's going to start under Heinze. I suspect he might, but it's a gamble. But for what the price you can get a super rare for, even if it didn't work out for him at Atlanta because of his previous career history, even if he went back to the championship, a super rare Hindman in the championship could be super valuable. So again, this could be an RV sneaky under the radar one that might tickle your pickle. I've got a rare, quite content with that personally. So guys, I hope that helps you with your off-season shopping for MLS midfielders. Thanks a lot for watching the video. I hope you've enjoyed it. Like always guys, like, subscribe, share, retweet, all that good stuff. Stay out of trouble, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.